Gabriel Saint here. I'm a writer, artist, director working out of Los Angeles, California. And today, we're tier listing cursed popular art. We are tier listing cursed art, so it will be scary. I'm a horror film director, and we are looking at some horrifying art. This is not for the faint-hearted, so if you were looking for some paintings of fairies, not the stream tonight. Maybe later, though, actually. Currently, we're about to get dark. All right, first up, we have Salvador Dali's The Face of War. Have y'all seen this one before? I remember this one from school. This is one that I saw in class as a kid. This is one they taught us. I'm surprised it's not more of a popular painting of Dali's. You know, he's got so many really popular paintings. Not this isn't a popular painting, but everybody loves those melting clocks. So what do y'all think? Y'all think this is a super scary painting? You think this is a beautiful painting? Do you recognize this painting? Is this familiar to you? This painting is called The Face of War by Salvador Dali. It was painted in 1940. The technique is oil on canvas. It's a surreal lens on the global turmoil of the World War II era Europe. So World War II was 1940s, 1947, 1943, I think. So at 1940, and Salvador was in Spain, you know, right at the heart of some of that European conflict. So like, you know, and I've said this before, when these artists are in these situations where they're able to interject art into the culture in a way that very few human beings are really able to do. And when they have that platform, they have that message to give out. You know, they're not just painting to paint. They're just not painting something pretty. Salvador Dali was at a moment in life where they were pre-war, and he was seeing the conflict all around him, and he said, hey, in this painting, I'm going to make a decision to put a message out there, an anti-war message. I really love when a painting has a message that really resonates culturally, you know, over decades and centuries even, though people are going to be looking at this painting and its representation of like the pre-war anxiety before World War II. That's really amazing. Dali painted it during a time of immense global conflict, reflecting humanity's collective dread. The hollow-eyed skull with the smaller skulls inside symbolizes an endless cycle of death. Some see it as Dali's personal exploration of mortality, shaped by political unrest in Spain. The barren desert background highlights isolation and despair, emphasizing the futility of war. Dali believed surrealism should shock its viewers. He confronts them with raw, unrelenting horror. Yeah, I like that, you know, the desert landscape here really does pay off. You know, and I could see how it does give this barren view. But Dali puts that barren background in every one of his paintings. Okay, so I love this painting. I would hang this painting in my home. I think it's beautiful. And you're right, Human Robot. There's something about great technique with oil paintings that really gives us the best images that we've seen from classic painters. Like, there's nothing like a master artist and oil paint. You can really see the kind of images you're able to kind of render with oil paint is really like nothing else. All right, so if we're looking here at our tier list, I would say, honestly, I saw this picture in school when I was in 6th grade or something. We are just gonna go straight up Mr. Incredibile. I'm trying to say Mr. Incredible in French. Please excuse my French. We're going to tier list Mr. Incredible Layer 1. What do y'all think? Not the scariest painting. It's not really that scary, honestly. I mean, the message behind it's pretty scary, and it's scary. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's like scary for kids. I'm not scared. I'm a big tough guy. We're all big tough guys here. I'm joking. All right, next up we've got Francis Bacon. Y'all, Francis Bacon is one of my favorite painters. And he's got a very interesting story, and I just love the way his paintings are. These are oil on canvas as well, but he uses a dry brush technique, and sometimes he'll paint on very textured canvas, or I think he's got some of his paintings that are even like on velvet. And when the dry brush and the dry paint, the way it does these textures in his paintings is really, it's just intriguing. It's interesting. This painting is very creepy. I learned about this painting in school, but not when I was young. This is a painting that we learned about in college, you know. I don't think because it was too scary for kids, but it's definitely more disturbing. And it also has a religious connotation. So this is called The Study After Velázquez's Portrait of Pope Innocent X, the 10th, I guess. It's painted in 1953, oil on canvas. The artist is Francis Bacon. It's a key modern interpretation of a classic portrait, bridging old masters with post-war angst. So this painting was done just after World War II, and they were dealing with the anxiety of the post-war situation. And Francis Bacon and a lot of these other people, they didn't necessarily like the decisions that the church made during the war, or sides that the churches took, or just decisions that the church was making in general. This was a painting originally that someone else painted of this guy, what was his name? Of the Pope. So he took a picture of the Pope that had already been painted and then reinterpreted himself into this horrific masterpiece here. So it says, Bacon adored the original painting that he used as reference, but he felt compelled to subvert its grandeur and add some raw psychological tension. The Pope's scream suggests the erosion of religious and moral authority in the modern, uncertain world. Bacon's style, distorted figures, violent brushstrokes, they all convey existential dread common after World War II. It's so interesting, the context here, where these people are like, again, interjecting these paintings into a moment in time where they are touchstones. These are moments that human culture will look at forever as little reminders of where we were in history. The cage or curtained-like lines reflect the isolation, entrapment, and challenging the power of the papacy. This piece cemented Bacon's reputation for unveiling the dark side of iconic imagery, provoking introspection. So what I like is this is basically a remix, you know? Check the chat. Yeah, Francis Bacon is a boss. But again, this is stuff I learned about later in art school. In my younger art years, we learned about Dali. In my later art years, we learned about Francis Bacon. You know, when you get to learn about Francis Bacon, you get more into sexuality, religion, politics, and the same thing is true for Dali, but you're able to appreciate Dali's work without getting into the politics behind it. When you get into Francis Bacon's work, like the person he was, the culture that he represented, and the life that he lived, it speaks almost as loud as his paintings do. And not that Dali wasn't loud and eccentric, but the way his paintings are, in a way, speak louder than his cultural mark. And Francis Bacon has a very, he's like a subculture type guy, you know. It's like a very like genre specific aesthetic, and just like a huge pillar in the artistic queer community as well. Okay, so this painting is fucking scary. Excuse my language. This painting's pretty scary. This is scarier than the Dali painting. It's not the scariest painting. I think let's go to Cursed Level 2. It's a little bit scarier than The Face of War, but it's not the scariest thing. It's not the worst one, I think. What do y'all think? That's a pretty fair ranking system, right? I think Dali, and then this Francis Bacon painting. All right, moving on. All right, y'all. Okay, another famous painting. Have y'all seen this one before? This is a famous one. I've seen this a lot. This is one that I also saw in art school when I was younger. Okay, so let me find my notes here. So this one, the thing that's fun about this is the title. This is called Saturn Devouring His Son. This was painted in 1819, Well, it says it was painted between the years 1819 and 1823. Originally an oil on mural on the walls of Goya's house, later transferred to canvas. Man, I would like to learn more about how that was transferred to canvas. Like, did he just repaint it? But the idea that this painting was originally an oil mural on the walls of Goya's house. That's so interesting. A human robot. Did you know that? I know Human Robot's a Goya fan. Did you know that this was originally painted on the walls of Goya's house? Very cool. So the artist is Francisco Goya. Part of Goya's black paintings, signifying a shift towards intense, private, and haunting art. We love Goya here in the chat, by the way. Yeah, I do like the combination of scary and aesthetic. Spawn camper. Yeah, I wonder if I can. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna ask chat. Sorry, I have some text messages. I see people checking on me because of the fires. If y'all watch the news, let me know. The fires are getting close to me. So I'm just taking a second. I'm good. Thank you for checking. I don't know if y'all saw the news today. I'm in Los Angeles, and there are fires that are just burning everywhere. And it's crazy. All right, so let me go ahead. Let me ask her. See what she says. I'm interested in the painting by Francisco Goya called Saturn Devouring His Son. I see here it was originally an oil mural on the wall of Goya's house, and it was later transferred to canvas. I would love some information on the technique for transferring this painting from a mural in his house to canvas, or whether he just repainted it.
Saturn Devouring His painted as a mural directly on the walls of Goya's house, known as the Quinta del Sordo. To transfer the mural to canvas, a technique called the Strapo method was used. This involves applying a protective facing to the mural's surface, then carefully detaching the paint layer and transferring it onto canvas. This way, the original artwork could be preserved and displayed outside of its original location.
Wow, very interesting. Thanks, chat. So it was created during Goya's later years, possibly reflecting his deafness, isolation, and disillusionment. Oh, did y'all know Goya was deaf? I'm not sure I knew that. The savage mythological scene is a metaphor for time-consuming all life, or Spain's political upheaval. That's a pretty big distance there. The unnaturally wide eyes and frantic posture highlight Goya's mental and emotional torment. Painted directly on his dining room wall, it suggests Goya's personal obsession with mortality and madness. The painting was never meant for public display. Its raw brutality was Goya's private confrontation with darkness. Man, that's cool. I didn't realize that. That's very cool that this was painted personally just for him in his dining room. And it was so dark that it was something he was dealing with personally, and he didn't expect the outside world to see it. It was just something that he was painting for his personal self-expression. And the fact that there was a technique to pull it from the wall and then put it out somewhere publicly for viewing. Like, that's such an interesting take. Not only that, I did not realize that Goya was deaf. That's very cool. I don't know if y'all know, but I have a hearing impairment. I have tinnitus and tensor tympani syndrome in my left ear, and it's genetic. My mother wears hearing aids in both ears, so over time I'm probably going to lose my hearing. Knock on wood that I won't, but it's just something that's really humanizes Goya. He painted this on the wall of his home. Like, have you ever painted on the wall of your house? Or maybe have you ever did a painting or something that you didn't expect people to see, and then when they did see it, you were kind of surprised that someone saw such a personal piece of art? I love the story behind this. I love how personal it is. I love how much we learn about Goya, him going deaf and painting this in his home. It's just very intimate, very personal. As far as disturbing goes, there's literal blood here. This is the first painting we've got with blood in it. Let me check the chat here. See what the chat's popping. See what's going on here in the chat. Yeah, they just peeled it off the wall, basically. Gonna have to do it. My paintings don't have names either. Oh, you're saying Goya's paintings didn't have names, that they named posthumously. Interesting. Okay. Is it bad? I want to hug it. Me for real. Y'all are adorable. I tried. Oh God. I painted my nightmares on ceilings and walls. Human robot, have you really painted your nightmares on the ceilings and walls of your apartment? I did a painting in I did a painting on the wall at my old apartment. In my friend's closet, she got grounded. It's still there. That's when randomly there's a Nyan cat in the mural in the middle. Man, human robot, if you have pictures of that, I'll post them in the Discord. I painted some bathroom door stalls of a bar room in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and someone later purchased those doors from the bar room. What's up, buddy? I hear you. I hear you chiming in. I hear you chiming in. Mwah. Okay, so let me ask you guys. It does have blood in it, so that's, you know, we're pretty much going right down the list. I think this guy's gonna go in the third lair of cursed Mr. Incredible. I mean, because I really love the backstory. I love the backstory. It makes it a little extra creepy. And blood. You know, blood is a pretty big factor on the scary scale. So what do y'all think? What are y'all thinking about my tier listing so far? We got Dolly, Mr. Incredible, Francis Bacon, Mr. Incredible second tier, cursed. We got Goya, Saturn, Devouring Child, third tier, Mr. Incredible, cursed. What y'all think? All right, so we're gonna keep moving here, y'all. Right along to y'all. Get out of here. This one here, this is one of my favorites. This is just an awesome painting. This is a great painting. This is one, like one of those you do learn in school, but like all Caravaggio's work is, you learn it later in your art school career. God, I love this one. And one of the things I really love is like the facial expressions. Like Caravaggio does an amazing job of getting these facial expressions. Her face is just like, he just nailed her face. It's such a clear point of view. That she's like proud of what she's doing, like she's set up to do something, and then she's just kind of nailing it, and she's got that look on her face like she just really nailed it. You know, she's like, ooh, you know, like when you try to shoot a balled up sheet of paper in the trash can and it goes in, and you're like, ooh. She kind of got that look on her face. All right, so let me look at my notes here for this Caravaggio painting. And not only that, but like, man, it's just it's an amazing technique. Like, I can't believe how amazing this painting is. Hold up, I'm just trying to find my notes right now for the Caravaggio painting. Okay. Where's my Caravaggio note? All right. So, the woman here, this gorgeous woman with this I nailed it look on her face is Judith. She is beheading Holofernes. This was painted in 1599. Think about that. And these people were so talented. We like to think about how advanced we are as a civilization. But look at this painting that was painted in the year 1600. This is also oil on canvas, I'll note. All the ones, like when you have a master artist with oil, like, man, you get some of the most beautiful, striking images. This is a Caravaggio, as you heard me say. This is a favorite on the channel here. We love Caravaggio. This is a Baroque masterpiece, capturing the biblical heroicism and Caravaggio's dramatic realism. The painting shows Judith, a Jewish widow, saving her city by seducing and decapitating the Assyrian general. Oh, I love it. Not only is she decapitating him, but she seduced him first. That's my girl. Caravaggio's signature use of chiaroscuro amplifies tension, drawing the viewer into violence. I mentioned chiaroscuro here, and I gotta be honest, chiaroscuro is the most beautiful lighting technique. I use it in my films that I'm lighting, and chiaroscuro is, I could show you right now. Hey Siri, turn the big light off. Oh, did it work? So now I'm going to probably end up in chiaroscuro lighting because all you can see that's lit is my face. The background is gone. And if I pull my light down even more, you'll get more and more of that chiaroscuro kind of piece. And another technique of the chiaroscuro, if you pay attention, is the shadow. You see how one side of my face is a hard shadow and one side of my face is highlighted. And also, Caravaggio, in this chiaroscuro fashion, you put the shadow side towards the viewer, and you put the lit side towards the background. And the background is almost completely black. Oh, the contrast here is just beautiful. I could go on about chiaroscuro and chiaroscuro lighting for hours. I just love it. And I love the way it's used in films too. Judith's facial expression exhibits both horror and resolve, underscoring moral complexity. I mean, she looks like she's really just nailing it to me. But I can imagine, like, the idea, the focus is like she's happy that she finally did what she had to do to save her people, but also, like, man, it's pretty horrific, you know? I challenge traditional religious representations by focusing on raw human emotion. The work reflects Caravaggio's own tumultuous life, full of brawls and brushes with the law, blood, and drama abound. Yeah, Caravaggio's got to be one of my favorites. Like his imagery, his use of color, his use of contrast, his use of chiaroscuro, the imagery he uses, like putting, you know, a woman really in control of a man in this particular dynamic. Like, it's just such an interesting dynamic. So what do y'all think? Y'all like this painting? Is this one that y'all have seen in your past, seen in your classes in art school? Let me check the chat here. Whoa. I remember this one from school. Okay, Baroque Garot. Yeah, she a bad bitch. Judith is a bad bitch, y'all. So check this out. This one does have blood in it, but like the way he paints the blood, it almost looks like red yarn. I get it. It's supposed to be like a spray, I guess. I love this painting so much. But how cursed is it? I would say it has blood. Okay, so it can't be any higher than third tier Mr. Incredible. But the blood is not quite as disturbing as this monster eating his child. Matter of fact, I feel triumphant about the way Judith is owning it here. I can't put it... What do y'all think? Mr. Incredible level 1? Mr. Incredible tier 2? I need some help from the chat. What do you think? Tier 1, tier 2? Yeah, the red cloak is interesting. I wonder if it's like, you know, we got a big, huge negative space up here in the artwork. Let's fill it with a red cape because red is very visceral. I'm going with tier list 2. It's honestly, the Francis Bacon one is a bit more disturbing than this one, but this one shows blood, and blood is a universal sign for danger. And we are looking at danger, cursed art. All right, moving on, guys. So how are we looking at this tier list? What do y'all think? I'm giving them a fair choice here. I will go back and say this, that I know we're not ranking art by how much we like it, but it's a bad idea to rank art. All art is important and useful for everyone in every level and every skill set, whether you're a new artist or you're a master artist from the 1600s. Art is always important. Art is always important. It always is S tier. Your art right now, S tier. Moving on, let's get into the blood and gore. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay, so this one here, this is one I debated even bringing into the argument here, because it doesn't really look that cursed from a distance here. Matter of fact, it looks downright pleasant, but it's when you look at the details that you really find. And there's a few artists that painted like this in history that had these dark images and these larger triptychs, these Where Waldo type paintings. I am looking for my notes here on this particular painting. I can't remember what the name of it was. If anybody in the chat knows the name of this before I do, let me know. Okay. Looking for it. No. Yo, I can't find my notes on this one. Still looking. Okay, Saturn devouring his son. Ivan the Tower, Gary the Clown. Man proposes this haunted portrait. Y'all, I might not have the notes here on this one. Okay, so pretend like I didn't show you this one. If I find the notes for this particular one, I'll bring it back up. Okay, now I have to find my art history notes because I have it somewhere. I'll bring it back up. I have my notes around it somewhere. Y'all don't worry about it right now. I'll find it. I'll bring it back up. Let's keep keep the haunting going. I hope you guys aren't scared. By the way, let's go ahead and take an agua break. If you're out there, take some sips. Make sure you're staying nice and hydrated. Come here, buddy. I want to see you on the screen. That's the one, Paradise in Hell. I'll find the notes. I'll bring it back up. But let's keep moving. So y'all know this one. We all know this one. This is another one that's a favorite of the chat. Man. This has got to be one of the most moving paintings I've ever seen. You know. Thank you, Human Robot, for checking that out. We'll go back and we'll check it out. Man, he sure found that quick. So we know this one. We've recently on the chat watched a little bit of a documentary on this particular piece of art. So I know how everybody feels about it. This particular piece of artwork is one that's just kind of stuck out to me my entire life. Like, it's wonderfully done in every way. You know, it's beautifully rendered. It's a beautiful painting. The technique is amazing. The composition is amazing. The message is loud. Normally, like if we were to see a painting like this, you know, it would be something like this. You know, normally they would give you an image like this, and they would point the camera. They would point the camera at the main action here. You know, and if you look at the painting like this, it's still rough, if not even worse. But when you pull out, you know, and we see the context, you kind of realize that this is a rich man. This man lives in a castle. This man lives in a mansion. The amount of these ornate rugs and the wallpaper and the size of the room, like, it's very obvious that we're showing, like, and it feels like the whole image feels like it's lit by a very large window just off screen that we're not seeing. Like, maybe it's a sunset or a sunrise, but, you know, I can really feel the direction of the light, and I kind of, even though I can't see the window, like, I can imagine what that big, huge, ornate window looks like that's casting light on this image here. And the use of all this extra negative space around the image, like, man, it really says a lot about, like, the emptiness, the loneliness, the isolation that like he must feel in this moment here. Man, it's such a beautiful, moving artwork. This painting was painted in the year 1885. It's another one of these beautiful oil on canvas. And what I said before, when we have a master using oil, it's amazing. The artist is Ilya Repin. You could help me if anybody thinks I'm pronouncing that terribly. It's an iconic Russian painting that encapsulates a critical moment in the country's history, based on the event where Ivan, in a fit of rage, mortally wounds his son. Repin's brushwork and vivid color capture Ivan's wild-eyed shock and his desperate remorse. The painting serves as a broader reflection on absolute power and how it absolutely corrupts. Russians see it as a stark warning about violence within governance and families. The emotional intensity suggests Repin's condemnation of uncontrolled rage, fueled by repeated controversies. This painting has been vandalized multiple times by viewers claiming the painting drives people mad. We saw a little bit of that on the documentary. Somebody has stabbed it, saying that the painting is a lie. There had been people who had thrown paint on it, but it's been able to be refurbished, brought back to life every time. Maybe let's talk to chat just a little bit about that. See what they have to say. Can you tell me a little bit?
Sure, Gabriel.
Oh, wow.
Would you like?
Sorry. I think my internet's acting funny because of the wind situation out here. Let me try again. Can you tell me a little bit about the vandalization of the painting Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan?
Gabriel, the painting Ivan the Terrible and His Son Ivan by Ilya Repin has faced multiple acts of vandalism.
Ilya Repin.
In 1913, a 29-year-old man slashed it with a knife, leading to its restoration. In 2018, a visitor damaged it with a metal bar, but the faces and hands remained unharmed. The painting was restored and returned to the Tretyov Gallery in December 2024.
So interesting. So it was recently vandalized. Very recently. Okay, y'all. This is a tough one for me. Man, it gave me chill bumps. It gives me chill bumps a little bit. How amazing. I love this painting in so many ways. Obviously, the subject matter is not something that you like love, but what you love is that it works. It works. There's a message here that's been relayed through centuries. Like, this is a cultural touch point. This is a painting that we'll be looking at for the rest of human history. The technique is amazing. The message is portrayed. It's a large painting. Look at the detail in the carpet. There's just so many things to be in awe of this painting. And there's an emotional cursedness to this painting that some of the other paintings so far did not really hold, you know? Before I make a decision, I'm gonna consult the chat. Definitely one of the more emotional pieces I've seen. Human Robot says, I got to agree. Did their best to patch up the sliced areas. Yes, they did. People do suck, Fifi Chan. You are right about that. But also, people are amazing. People can be amazing. People suck, but people can also be amazing. Oh, great. I'm going to check that out right now. Let's take a break. I'm going to take a look in the Discord and take a look. Where did you post it at? Oh, where did you post the image at, Human? Looking through the Discord. Movies and film, of course, because it's movies and film. How cool is that? So, do you think this isn't the real painting though? This is not the real painting. They did exactly what I said. So look, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna bring it into here. So what they did is, it must have been hard to see in the back of in the scene. This is a shot from the television series Chernobyl, and they worked this painting in the back of the scene. But what it does look like is it's obviously a recreation. You know, that I didn't think they used the real one, but they cropped out some of the negative space so we could see the details of the scene. It's a very cool cultural touch point. The Chernobyl series was an amazing series. Great direction, beautiful cinematography, performance, wardrobe, set design. Gorgeous, gorgeous series. Human Robot in the chat. Thanks for sharing that with us, dude. That's very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely a painting that they chose for the television series on purpose to portray a message, for symbolism, you know. Cinematic. How Hitchcock used to say, perfect is great, but cinematic is better. And I think adding that Ivan the Terrible in the back of this scene here, as though it might not be culturally exact, the vibes are right. Thanks for sharing that, Human Robot. Thanks for taking the time to share that with us. Okay, so y'all, I'm going fourth tier. I'm going fourth tier. I mean, our fourth tier, it's not funny. That's a skull. That's a dark skull. That's pretty cursed, and there's nothing funny about this piece of art. This particular tier listing structure is a bit tricky, because just because it's going further down on the tier list doesn't mean we like it less. It just means that it's more cursed. See, I need a soundboard right now so I can do the thunder lightning thing. Do we have, let me see what I can. There's got to be something on YouTube, right? Got to be something on YouTube. Thunder, lightning, horror, sound effect. So we're going to keep on. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try my soundboard here. We're going to keep going. Tier listing. Cursed art. Does that work? Did that work for you? How's that work, guys? All right. So I will say, this painting of Ivan murdering his son out of jealousy. And there was a longer story about him getting in an argument with his son, and having to do with politics and his son's wife and him not liking her. And his son approached his dad and said, hey, I'm not going to take that kind of disrespect towards the love of my life from my father or from anyone. In a fit of rage, he hit him in the temple with a staff and killed his own son. That's why this particular story is going into tier list 4. Okay, guys, move it on. Oh, I like the sound effect. I need to get a soundboard. Thanks for the encouragement on that. Rosa said, you found your old art history notes. Do they have some notes on some of these cursed paintings? If so, put them in the Discord. We'll check them out. All right, y'all, let's move on to another painting. I got to say, that was one of my favorite paintings. All right. How about we hit them with y'all, this is heavy. This is some real cursed artwork right here. So, do y'all know this one? Does everybody know this painting? Do y'all remember this one from art class? Because I bet you don't. I bet you don't remember this one from art class. So I'm looking for my notes right now, but you guys in the chat, please tell me what your history is with this painting. Have you seen this painting before? Do you know this painting? This is the cursed, okay. We'll get into it. This painting is the Gacy clown painting. Gacy did various series of these clowns, and he painted them in the early 1980s. This is just one of the most famous paintings. This is the one I know the best because it was the album cover for a band called Acid Bath, who's a heavy metal band that I really liked. That's from Louisiana, where I'm from. That was my introduction to this Gacy painting, painted in the early 1980s. This is acrylic on canvas. This is painted by John Wayne Gacy, a notorious serial killer. It's a macabre artifact from a criminal mind, popular among collectors of murderabilia. So, memorabilia by serial killers is called murderabilia, and there's a black market or a subculture of people that collect paintings or objects owned by serial killer. It's pretty fucking sick, but it's cursed for damn sure. So a little bit more background. Gacy performed as Pogo the Clown at children's parties, which later turned sinister after his crimes emerged. So this notorious serial killer who killed upwards of 20 young boys and young men was a party clown. He dressed like a clown and performed at children's birthday parties at the same time in his life where he was murdering young men and young boys. And his alter ego was called Pogo the Clown. And that's why he ended up painting these pictures. We'll learn a little bit more about it, but he painted these pictures from jail so he could make money. He loved the fame that he got from these terrible things that he did, and one of the things that he did to exploit that was these paintings. These clowns are self-portraits. They reflect the twisted blending of innocence and horrifying guilt. Owning one can feel like owning a piece of true crime history, adding to their dark allure. Critics argue that profiting from these works exploits victims, their memories, and it normalizes the killer's legacy. You know, there's some truth to that. The naive color palette and the subject matter clash with the knowledge of Gacy's violent acts, and that kind of heightens the creepiness. Yeah, because it's this painting, terrible technique. Where's the light coming from? Where is the form? Look at that hand. That hand is garbage. And not until like a couple viewings later do I realize there's 3 pom-poms on that. I just see the one pom-pom and then the other ones later. I'm like, oh, there's other. And these are balloons next to him. The only reason I know these are balloons is because context, I guess. His signature is sloppy and placed terrible. This stupid pen looks terrible. Look at this sleeve, dude, in this arm. This guy had zero technique. Look, he tried to Bob Ross out a tree back here and just failed. This has terrible composition. This picture is flat. The technique is terrible, and it is cursed as cursed gets. Yeah, somebody should have told him. Darker darks and lighter lights, Mr. Gacy. Where's your form? Where's your angle of brushstrokes? See? He could have benefited from some time in the chat here. Y'all tell him. See, my guys in the chat are trying to give Wayne Gacy some posthumous painting tips. Y'all, no doubt everybody in the chat knows exactly what tier that this cursed painting is going in. Final tier list. We're going in the most cursed. We're going most cursed here. Am I right? Can anybody debate that? This is definitely where it goes. That's garbage. That's terrible. Forget you, Mr. Gacy, and your legacy, and anyone like you. All right. Yeah, y'all loving the sound effect, aren't you? All right, y'all. I'm gonna take a little couple minute break here. Get a sip of some water. Chat with y'all a second. How are y'all thinking so far about the tier list? I'm having a nice time. It's fun. And I was thinking, like, going through some of this dark artworks might be a bit gloomy, might be a bit dreary. And I also thought it might be visually a bit dark. But honestly, these are masters. aside from this one asshole at the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and just move him kind of like way down here. So when I'm talking about these pictures, no, I'm gonna move him over here so he doesn't funk up the rest of my. So this guy, these painters are really brilliant painters. I really love these paintings. I know we're calling them cursed and dark, but like, you know, these are great paintings. These guys are masters of their work.
Oh, hey, my electricity went out, which means my internet's about to go out. Maybe we've actually been cursed. We've done it.
Three weeks later.
Hey y'all, it's been a minute. We had to stop the cursed tier list because I believe I may have cursed Los Angeles. But we're back. We're going to start ranking cursed artwork. So yeah, sorry about that. I lost electricity. We lost half of the city. But coincidences aside, we're back today on stream ranking cursed art. I'm already having a good time, y'all. I'm already having a good time. Who let me have fun? Who let me have fun? All right, so this next painting here, this is another depiction of Saturn. This is the remix, not to be confused with Saturn devouring his own son. This painting is strictly called Saturn, and it is disgusting. So let's talk a little bit about this painting. It is very gross. This painting was painted in 1636. Oh, look, life was so great. Everybody was just living life, not a cell phone in sight. This is oil on canvas by Peter Paul Rubens, not to be confused with Pee Wee Herman. This is cultural relevance, part of Rubens' mythology series, reflecting Baroque fascination with classical gods. In other words, remixes of paintings we've already seen. It depicts Saturn, the Roman chronist, poised to consume one of his offspring, an unrelenting symbol of fear. Rubens' swirling emotion and intense color amplify terror, capturing the god's raw aggression. In myth, Saturn's paranoia about losing power leads to him devouring his children, an allegory of tyranny. Rubens used robust, fleshy forms to emphasize physicality and the savage acts of brutality. The painting might reflect political anxieties of the time, where the rulers clung to power through violence. This disturbing subject matter leaves some viewers uneasy, adding to talk of dark influences. Man, I gotta be honest, the adding the context about it being a bit of a metaphor about people clinging to power seems very poignant. You know, this picture is very disgusting. At the same time, like the idea of it being a poignant story about a father devouring his child for fear of losing power, you know, it brings to mind this Ivan painting again. You know, it's a very similar subject matter now that we know the backstories on him, and I didn't expect to pull that tie. There's a lot of paintings in history about, you know, people abusing power. So many paintings in history are about abusing power. And, you know, didn't really realize that until we're getting into these cursed artwork. And almost every one of them is about some kind of abuse of power, from the Pope to the face of war to Saturn eating their son, even to the John Wayne Gacy clown paintings. Crazy. How cursed is this painting? Y'all, this painting is cursed as hell. The technique is beautiful. I mean, you know, like Human Robot said before, when you have a master artist working with oil on canvas, like, don't really get any better than that, you know. As far as cursed goes, dude, this painting just viscerally is gross. This is gross. I'm putting it in super cooked layer here. I mean, I'm not gonna put it over here on an island with Gacy, but I don't like looking at this image. The backstory, you know, it kind of helped me appreciate it. But we're definitely going bottom tier cooked. This is what we call bottom tier cursed art. A human says his paintings are massive. I saw them in Uno Art Gallery back in 2018. Are we talking about Paul Rubens? Yeah, and Fifi says the Ivan is her fave. Yeah, it's definitely one of my faves. It's one of the faves here in the chat for sure. All right, guys. What is this guy's name? I keep forgetting this guy's name. The meme format. It's been so long since we've been on here. What's this guy's name? This is Mr. Incredible. Human Robot. That's really cool that you were able to see Peter Paul Rubens' work and interject the fact that it's so huge. Looking at it here, like, they all look about the same size, but it's very cool. Appreciate you putting in the input. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. This Saturn painting is going into the super cooked Mr. Incredible lair. And moving on. See what else we got here. Oh, no. Oof. This one's pretty rough, y'all. It's funny how in this time period, it's like they didn't quite understand like depth and how to paint in the distance. Everything's in focus. Everything's flat. These people in the background, they don't even really look like they're in the background. It just looks like a picture inside of a picture. It's like when Leonardo hit him with that sfumato in the out of focus background, and they could say, "Oh my God, this is what out of focus. This is what backgrounds look like." Cause look at this back here. This ain't background. This is just look like little people. And if you look even back here, we can see like the focus is so deep that these trees and this castle in the background are like still in sharp focus. There's a little guy peeping here. It's funny how everything during this kind of time period looked really flat. Okay, so not to get into it, but this part here, y'all. I'm sorry I'm taking y'all through it. I'm going through it. I forgot how rough a ranking this cursed art was. This is called The Flaying of the Corrupt Judge Sisamones. I guess that's how you say it. The Flaying of the Corrupt Judge Sisamones. How do you pronounce The Flaying of the Corrupt Judge Sisamones, the painting from 1498?
It's pronounced The Flaying of the Corrupt Judge Sisamones. Refers to a painting by
Sisamones. The Flaying of the Corrupt Judge Sisamones. Painted in 1498. Not a phone in sight. Just people living life, man. See, this is what happens. If you don't give people cell phones, they start flaying judges. This is oil on oak panel. It's a diptych, which means it must actually be in two pieces. The artist is Gerard David. Cultural relevance. The cultural relevance. A cautionary tale from Herodotus, fitting the era's emphasis on moral lessons through art. Again, we're still looking at probably a corrupt, abusive power story here. Siamines took bribes and was judged by King Cambyses and condemned to be flayed alive as an example. Wow. David's meticulous detail underscores the gravity of corruption and the severity of royal retribution. Publicly displayed, it reminded officials and citizens of divine and earthly punishment for injustice. God, imagine that. They're using this piece of art as like to control criminals, to discourage people from breaking the law. This painting is a cop. This painting is the police. This painting is upholding the law. That's crazy to think of using a painting in that way. The diptych format often showed the trial on one panel and the flaying on the other, emphasizing narrative starkness. Reflects the broader cultural belief that moral conduct underpins a stable society and corruption must be purged. Viewers sometimes feel squeamish or ill, leading to the whispers that the piece itself punishes the corrupt. Man, that's interesting. 1498, man, they were on some shit then, man. That 15th century will get you. I really like the backstory of how this painting is showing how they made an example of someone, and they, as a reminder that if you're corrupt and you're in power, that there are consequences. And the fact that this art was powerful enough in the 1500s to help keep order in society, I mean, that says something about the power of art, the power of message, the power of symbolism, when you can take a painting hanging in the town square and people obey the law and the people in power also follow the law. Anyway, I just thought it's very interesting. That's one of the most powerful points I think about this painting, is that it was used to kind of keep people in order, keep people from breaking the law. Crazy. All right, but what we want to know is how cursed this artwork is. I'm thinking, you know what? It's pretty gross. Like, that leg is gross. I don't like looking at it. When I'm looking at the picture, like, my eye is like, I'm avoiding looking at the part of his leg, honestly. And I think there's something about this red cloak under the painting here, under the bed, that's really taking all my focus. And I wonder if it's kind of like metaphorical blood. Like, he didn't want to put blood in the painting, so he was like, what if we put this red fabric here that it kind of gives a similar kind of image. And yeah, this even though this is red cloth, it's making me squeamish in a way that it's just like a puddle of blood. But overall, I think the lack of depth in the design kind of makes it feel a little cartoonish, and it kind of gives it a little tongue-in-cheek comedy. Look at the way these guys are lined up here. All these people's heads are like exactly on the same plane here. That's ridiculous. Like, everybody's the exact same height. I think somebody was getting a little lazy, and it kind of makes it comical. Feels a little cartoonish. Anyway, as far as cursed artwork goes, let's go. We're going mid-tier, Mr. Cooked. Incredible. Mr. Incredible Cooked. So let's say middle tier cursed. So, you know, not hanging it on my wall, but also, like, as long as I avoid that leg, I'm okay. Cursed? Yes. You know, honestly, this is me learning how to ride a bike every time the pedal would hit me in the shin. This is me running into the coffee table at night when the lights are off. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's check out the chat. Bro, jail? No. You've lost skin privileges. Fifi Chan, that's how it is. That's how it was, I guess. Straight to jail. All right, let's see what else we got here. Now, this is one of my favorites here, and I know this is one of the favorites in the chat. This painting didn't have to go as hard as it did, but it did. This painting goes so hard. I want to thank Fifi Chan in the chat for submitting this for the cursed ranking video. If you want to join the Discord and submit some art for the next ranking, please do. Or leave a comment or a like or a follow or a subscription or whatever social media you prefer. This painting is hilarious and scary and awesome. It kind of reminds me of like a Garbage Pail Kid sticker. Well, do y'all remember Garbage Pail Kids? Oh man. All right, let me find let's find the history on this bad girl here. Okay, I think this one is called Fame, Folie et Crime, which means hunger, madness, and crime. This was painted in 1853, oil on canvas. It's by an artist named Antoine Wertz, a bold Belgium romantic commentary on desperate human nature. Wertz tackled taboo subjects, starvation and insanity, to critique social neglect and moral decay. The large-scale composition envelopes viewers, forcing them to confront distressing human conditions. Wertz believed grandiose, dramatic imagery could spark social conscience and empathy. The painting's title underscores a linear descent. Hunger drives madness, which leads to crime. By depicting extreme anguish, Wertz hoped to spotlight the failings of society in preventing such despair. Reports claim it can invoke a sense of dread, as if the canvas radiates the suffering that was portrayed. Yeah, this painting is wild. I like the backstory, though. The message is like this particular artist is trying to tell the world that in a society where you're not feeding your people or where people aren't taken care of, in his perspective, that the starvation was leading to the madness, and the madness was leading to the crime. So in this particular painting here, he's showing a woman who doesn't have food for herself or her child, and because of that, she's going mad. It's pretty heavy, Doc. Man, it's hard to talk about some of the details of this painting. This baby's foot hanging out of the cooking pot here is pretty rough. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this must be that baby here in her lap. Pretty wicked. Must be her showing that she has no food. This knife is maybe the tool she used. I don't read Russian, but maybe somebody knows what this is here. Is this a mushroom or something on the ground maybe? Yeah, that's a good old foot soup, Fifi Chan says. Sometimes foot soup can stink. Not to mention this boob. I tell you, they always like to pull a boob out in Renaissance paintings. They're like, how about just one? Human Robot said I'd still take that over Canberra's mushroom soup. I don't think that's true. You know what? I want to know, now that we were talking about earlier, I want to know how large this painting is. The painting, Hunger, Madness, and Crime, painted in 1853 by Antoine Wirtz. Can you tell me how big the painting is?
Sure thing. Hunger, Madness, and Crime by Antoine Wirtz is quite large. It's about 4 meters wide and over 7 meters tall, or approximately 13 feet by 23 feet. Quite an impressive piece.
Wow, does that sound right? Crazy. I mean, this picture that we're looking at here looks square, but that's a big painting. Okay, so let's get to ranking this bad girl. So this is a tough one. This is kind of a tough one for me to rank. Like, I like the composition. I think it's interesting and surprisingly fun. I don't dislike it. I'm not sure I would hang it on my wall. So I can't put it up here with the face of war, because this Dali painting, I would hang that on my wall. Now we step down here. These are also 2 paintings that I would probably hang on my wall. I love this technique. I love this Francis Bacon. Now when we get down here to the third level of our cook to Mr. Incredible, I kind of feel like this is where it goes. This is where it goes. I figured it out. This is where it goes. I feel like if it went any further, there's a gravitas here with this Ivan painting in the skull tier that nothing quite has hit me as hard as that. But this one gets there as far as like something I would, that kind of irks me in a way. You know what? Maybe we'll go half and half. That's what we'll do. We're going half and half. Wait, I need my sound effect. Half and half. Yeah, so how y'all feel about it? Is that a good place to tier list it, we think? I think that's fair. That's fair. I mean, we're judging it on science. This is a very scientific system I'm using here. And I will reiterate that ranking art is not something that anyone should ever do. Ranking art is a bad idea. All art is important in different places at different times for different reasons. Now, with that said, let's get back to ranking this artwork. Let's go ahead and get rid of this guy. Oh, this is one submitted by Human Robot in the chat. Is it man imposes, God disposes? Is that what it is? Let me look at this one. This is a bit concerning of an image here. Again, it looks like one of those concepts where they didn't want to put direct blood in the paintings, maybe. So like maybe there is blood here, but this looks like maybe a red piece of fabric that's kind of insinuating the massacre here. Let's take a look at the history. This painting is called Man Proposes, God Disposes, 1864. Oil on canvas. The artist is Sir Edwin Landseer. A Victorian reflection of the lost Franklin expedition to the Arctic. This shows 2 polar bears picking apart the remnants of the ill-fated voyage, symbolizing nature's supremacy. The title refers to the proverb reminding humanity that fate overrules human endeavors. Landseer used a real polar bear skeleton for reference, adding to the painting's eerie realism. At the time, Britain was enthralled by polar exploration. The artwork incited somber reflection on that hubris. This piece underscores the harshness of unexplored lands, cautioning against overconfidence in man's plans. It was covered during exams at the Royal Holloway because students fear it might curse them into failing their exams. Yeah, Fifi says, do not rank art. Don't do it. Human Robot says this is his personal favorite. Was, and I'm quoting here, was Franklin Exposition. I'm sorry, Franklin Expedition. Don't come at me so hard. Okay, so what I do like here is that these polar bears are not perfect, but they look closer than some of these animals that we've seen in some of these Renaissance era paintings, because it said that he was using real polar bear skeletons to reference his polar bears here. I also think it's very interesting that culturally in society at the time, where people were very excited to go to explore the poles, and this painting in a way was like instilling fear into rich people who were braggadocious about exploring far off lands, where this painting was a reminder that kind of confidence will come back to bite you in the ass. Human Robot says, if you like the history behind it, you can watch the TV series The Terror. I rank it as one of the best series of all time. Let's see. Tell me a little bit about the television, the show, The Terror, and how it connects to the painting Man Proposes, God Disposes, painted in 1864.
The Terror is a television series that first aired in 2018. The show's first season is a historical horror drama that fictionalizes the real-life events of the ill-fated 1845 British expedition to the Arctic, led by Captain Sir John Franklin. The expedition aimed to discover the Northwest Passage, but ended in disaster as the ships became icebound and the crew faced extreme conditions and mysterious threats. The painting Man Proposes, God Disposes, painted by Edwin Landseer in 1864, is directly connected to the Franklin expedition. The painting depicts two polar bears amidst the wreckage of a ship, symbolizing the fate of the Franklin expedition. The painting has a reputation for being cursed, and it is sometimes covered during... Spooky, right? The combination of...
Oh, Estayu, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining the chat. How are you? We're back to ranking cursed artwork. I don't know if you remembered last time we were ranking cursed artwork, and the world caught on fire. I ranked cursed artwork until I got cursed. How are you, Estayu, man? It's nice to have you. How's school? Welcome to the show. All right, so ranking this one. Now, the technique is oil on canvas, so it's one of those beautiful techniques. I really like the wide vista. I like the way that this painting is painted in such a wide composition. I really love also how, like, as we look into the background, you can see how it kind of starts to diffuse and starts to go out of focus back here. I really love that. I really love how we've got like a foreground, a middle ground, a foremiddle ground, a background, like a even further back. It's like a really beautiful composition as far as depth goes. And the way that this lumber here and here, it really like takes your eye into the painting in a beautiful way. I think the composition looks really thought out. I think everything's placed just perfectly to kind of keep your eyes moving around the image here. And my eyes kind of keep going like from polar bear, then to polar bear, and then I kind of go here, and then I do kind of like my eye kind of goes like around here, you know, and that's just kind of like the direction my eye goes. But I think the composition feels very intentional, almost like a filmmaker trying to tell a story in a way where he wants you to digest the painting in a certain order. It's a very good technique. The wide composition, I think, makes it very hangable. Like, it would look great over your bed or over your couch or something like that. Let's see how big this painting is. How big is the painting?
Man Proposes, God Disposes by Edwin Landseer measures approximately 8 feet by 6.5 feet, or about 2.5 meters by 2 meters. It's quite a striking piece.
8 feet by 6.5 feet, she says? That's a pretty wide painting. That would be awesome. You know what? I think we're going top tier. This isn't a cooked Mr. Incredible. We're going with fresh Incredible, only based on the facts that I think that this painting is extremely hangable. I think you could put this in a living room. You could put this in maybe not a dining room. You could put this in a bedroom. You could put this in an office. You could put this probably like in a government building. You could put this in a lobby. I just think this is an extremely hangable painting. And for that reason, I'm putting it in top tier. Cursed? Yes. Hangable? Yeah. It's also very nice to look at. Yes. What do y'all think about that ranking? Can you get behind that? Can we get behind that? Stayu says, is that the painting done by the same painter who did the dead man with the dog? Definitely, he's agreeing with the living room. He agrees top tier. Yo! Posted more art in the Discord for your reference. Thanks, human. Alright, guys, moving on. This one's called Figure with Meat. Oh, we already ranked this bad boy. This is another of the Francis Bacon Pope paintings. But let's go for another one. Goodness, I remember this one. This is kind of more of a modern painting. I almost debated whether we would put this one in here because we were kind of ranking classic artwork, but I didn't know when we would come back to ranking cursed artwork, so I felt like it was worth talking about. Let me find my notes here. 1 second. Actually, I don't have this in my notes right now, y'all. This the one where he painted it with his own blood? I need to look back through my... look back through my other notes to find the details on this one. Let me see. Do we remember what the name of this painting is in the chat? We might have to actually come back to it. Let's come back to it. I'll get through a couple more, and then we can kind of round it out, and then we'll come back to some more. Okay, so these last couple paintings... this one here, these kind of give me an unsettling feeling in a weird way, like in a modern way. Like there's something about these paintings that are unsettling in an uncanny way, like a horror film, and not necessarily in the same kind of like cultural nature of the scariness, but like this is designed to hit all those parts of your instincts that kind of think something looks unnerving. All right, let's see. Hopefully this guy's in my notes. Okay, this painting is called The Hands Resist Him. It was painted in 1972. It's another beautiful oil on canvas. The artist is Bill Stoneham. It gained viral fame as a haunted painting after an infamous eBay listing. Stoneham based the boy on an old photo of himself at age 5 standing by a glass door. The doll-like girl figure symbolizes a guide between the spiritual and everyday world. The hands pressed against the glass represent infinite possibilities of spirits reaching beyond. Stoneham sees it as bridging realms, childhood innocence facing the hidden truths of adulthood. The painting was originally exhibited in the 1970s, but only decades later did its haunted legend explode online. Owens reports eerie phenomenon like figures supposedly moving at night or the boy's expression changing. Gotta be honest, this is one where the backstory kind of makes the painting a little less scary. You know, there's something about some of the raw honesty and the like factual representation that we see in some of these other paintings, like the cultural relevance, like this was about war, this was about that exposition, this is about the Pope, this is about redemption, you know, the power struggles, the struggle of the poor, the struggle of this man killing his father, the way these two Saturn paintings have a similar symbolism about people with power afraid of losing their power. And then this guy's like, I tried to paint something scary. It just doesn't kind of hit like the rest of them do. With that said, it does have a creepy look. If this was hanging in my house, I would say that's pretty creepy. But it's hard to rank this one as far as like super cursed. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it is that cursed. And you know what I would do with this painting? I would hang it in my bathroom. This looks like a very good hangable bathroom painting. I'm putting in this in Mr. Incredible. This is just good old fashioned scary stories for kids. What you think? Is that a pretty good ranking? Let me see what the chat says. Stays. Oh, looks like we're getting some lag. Stacy says, I like how the dark background is, but makes you somewhat comfortable because of the sunlight. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's taking place during the day. And the fact that it's taking place kind of during the day, this painting, makes it a little less scary. That is a good point. Let's see what else we got here. Oh. All right, so we just got a couple more, I think. Let me see what we got in my notes here. Then we'll have to do another cursed artwork some point. Now that we've established that, if you do too much cursing on a stream at one time, that you may really get cursed. I hope you guys aren't too scared out there. I want to take a second to just tell y'all, don't be too scared. I'm just playing. These are just sound effects. These paintings can hurt you emotionally, but not physically. Unless one was to fall on you. But fear not. These paintings will not fall on you. But some of them are very large, and if they were to fall on you, could be a problem. Could be a problem. All right, so let me check out my notes again. See what we got. We got 3. So Massacre of Innocence. Okay. All right, so this is a rough one. This painting here is called The Massacre of Innocence. I think there's a couple versions of this painting, and we debated on which one we would put in the actual cursed stream. I think this is the one we decided on. Boy, this guy is about to fling that baby. Unbelievable. Look at this. This guy's here is like, hey, don't fling that baby. This guy's too like, hey, don't fling that baby. Oh, a little ridiculous. And you know, like they do in every one of these Renaissance babies, every one of these Renaissance paintings, there's always the singular boob. There's always one boob. I don't know what it is. If it's got one boob, no doubt Renaissance painting. All right, to get into like the cursedness, like the blue tint here is really rough. This area is a really rough area of this painting. Like I'm hesitant to describe it for the uncomfortable feeling. There's a nice movement in this painting of like warmth here, a lot of brown warm colors here, and there's like this red here, and you can see like a lot of oranges, but then there's this blue here, and there's like this very cool here. I just love that about this composition. There's cool here, cool colors here. This is cool colors, little pop of warmth, and it's just the opposite on this side, all warmth with one pop of cool here, and then the coolness of this baby. It's almost like, not even almost like, these guys are such masters at composition. Like the way he had divided this painting in two from corner to corner like that, and like balancing this side with the cool colors and this side with the warm colors, but then this one pop of blue here, this pop of warmth here. Oh, it's just an amazing use of balance, and not only composition, but of color. And then also, if you're just looking at the juxtaposition of how filled this frame is, I mean, we are chock full of information at almost every inch of this part of the frame. And that kind of gives us this kind of out here, you know. And as funny as it is, my eye is drawn here. My instinct is to kind of look away from the grotesqueness, and this piece here just kind of gives me a little bit of escape from the harshness of this painting. And I think it's a brilliant dynamic. It's gorgeous the way that this artist was able to design this painting. Again, I liken it to a film in a way that he wanted you to see this story and the way he wanted you to digest it. It's just, in my first glance, just breaking it down from composition and color and messaging, like, I just think it's awesome. This is a really amazing piece of art. I will notice, like, if we just want to get to a couple things, in this time period, a lot of these artists were men, and they worked with a lot of men artists. I don't think they even allowed women to be artists at the time, and a lot of the time when they would have models pose, they were always men. So if you look at a lot of paintings, especially from like the 15th, 16th, 17th century, most of the women were actually men modeling as women. And this is a pretty good example. If we look at the shape of this model here, I'm willing to bet that this is a man. This is a man that was modeling for this picture, and they do it every time. You see it a lot on these paintings where they'll just take a man and then they'll just put a boob on the front of him, and they'll just call it a woman. I don't think they would allow sometimes women into some of these areas, especially like some of the more religious painters. So you'll notice a lot of these paintings where it's really just men, and they paint a boob on them. Okay, so enough of my personal interpretation. Let's take a look at the history here. Okay, this is the Massacre of Innocence. It was by Poussin. It was painted in 1628. Not an iPhone in sight, y'all. Just living life. Technique, another beautiful master with oil on canvas. The artist is Nicolas Poussin. a Baroque master's take on the biblical atrocity ordered by King Herod. And you know what I say, when it's a biblical painting, it's really just a remake. Because I think we've seen a few of these paintings. Everybody paints pictures from the Bible. So many similar stories, similar images. A little bit on the backstory. Poussin meticulously rendered emotional devastation, mother's agony, children in peril. It highlights the cruelty of political power when driven by paranoia about a prophesized rival king. Dude, there's so much. We keep coming back to the same themes and the same stories in all of these cursed pieces of art. It's all about power corrupting. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And most of these cursed paintings are about men trying to destroy heirs to the throne because they fear losing their power. There's a lot of that in our modern world, you know, that we could learn from history's lessons. And Poussin's composition places the violence at front and center, forcing moral reflection. This painting introduced heightened realism in biblical tragedies, influencing future religious art. You remember that last painting where we were looking at, where it looked very flat and almost cartoonish, and everything in the background was in focus, and everybody's head was on the exact same plane? This is a good example of how art had evolved over time. That was very much the way the church encouraged artists to paint, and this more realistic, emotionally fraught painting is something that kind of encouraged future art. This is almost probably a little of what we would say today, ahead of his time. The tension between the classical style and the gruesome subject matter really underscores mankind's capacity for evil. Some claim the painting's anguished screams echo the viewer's mind. Some people claim the painting's anguished screams echo in the viewer's mind, leaving an oppressed viewing after seeing it. So what do y'all think? I really love this painting, if you couldn't tell how I was gushing about it. Like, I don't necessarily identify or love the subject matter, but like, man, what a masterwork. There's not an inch of this painting that I'm just not impressed with. Like, every moment in this painting is impressive. This Roman soldier back here grabbing this woman by her hair as she guards her child, like, it's such hidden in the background. Like, you could just barely see this Roman soldier rendered behind this fella here who's about to stab this woman. But man, even this story here is a big story. You know, not only that, but there's something here. This woman right here looks like she's looking right into the camera. You know, there's another face here, and if you look, there's other people back here too. Like, there's so many stories in this single painting. It just really is amazing. It really is amazing. Let's take a look at. I'm gonna put some energy into the chat real quick. Okay, guys, sorry. Let me stop. All right, so I just really think this painting is awesome. The subject matter is pretty cursed. You know, I'm going to put this painting. It's tough. I want to put it here with Ivan the Terrible killing his son, because I really love that painting. And it kind of holds its own in a way of its technique, its messaging, and even like personally, even though it isn't like the most hangable piece with Ivan or the Massacre of Innocents, I would hang it in my living room. I'm gonna go. That's what I'm putting in here. I'm putting in here in the skull tier, because it's my favorite tier, and I'm putting my favorite ones in the skull tier. I mean, that's my justification currently. Is it cursed? Yes. Very, very scary. All right, let's take a look at where we're at, y'all. So a couple here. So I think we're just gonna go a couple more. Some of these that weren't classic, some of these I missed. We'll have to catch them in our next tier list. There's so many more we could do. Such good stuff here, y'all. We could tier list forever. But there's one more I wanted to do. There's one more specifically I was looking at. Let me go ahead and get back to my notes here. Okay, all right. This one. So I must warn y'all. This may be the scariest portrait we've seen yet. This may be the most haunted piece we've seen yet. This may keep you up at night. If you have small children, small animals, if you're eating food, if you're standing, you might want to sit down. If you have a weak stomach, or you have a heart condition, or if you're pregnant, you might not want to look at this painting. I gotta warn y'all. Is everybody holding on to your butts? Are you sitting down? Have you covered the eyes and ears of your children? Just warning you, I'm not held liable for any kind of damages that come from this haunted painting. Guys, look at this. Now take a second. I don't want everybody to go running for the exits just yet. Whew. That gets the double thunder. This is called Bernardo de Galvez portrait. It was painted in the earliest 20th century, and the technique, of course, is oil on canvas. The artist is unknown. It's displayed at the Hotel Galvez in Galveston, Texas. Roses is not here, but you would appreciate that. A cultural relevance. It honors the Spanish military leader who aided the American Revolution. Galvez was a hero in the Gulf Coast region, helping to secure Spain's alliance with American forces. The portrait's historical significance ties to Texas's rich blend of American and Spanish heritage. Over time, ghost stories emerged around the painting, boosting local folklore. Visitors often connect Galvez's stern expression with the spirit of vigilance, defending his legacy. The painting's home is famously haunted, and it's a hotel that cements its paranormal reputation. The legend says if you don't ask permission before taking a photo, your pictures will blur and your camera will malfunction. Yeah, right. Looks like Beethoven. Yeah, I did see that there really were stories about this picture being haunted, and like it's one of those paintings where they say its eyes follow you as you walk around the room. There's a series of these type of paintings throughout history where artist really does a great job of making the eyes look like they're looking like right down the barrel of the camera. And this artist, the unknown artist, I think did a really great job of that. And every time I see one of these pictures that really kind of nails that staring right down the barrel of a camera pose, people always say, if you walk around the room, it feels like its eyes follow you. And that's just I think that's just a symptom of some good painting. But I thought this would be a good way to end the cursed tier list. This is the first tier list that we've done, but it's actually our third tier list. Please subscribe to the channel, follow, join the Discord, comment, join the chat. We'd love to have you participate in all of our tier lists. We have some more coming up. We're going to try to do one every week. If you'd like to participate, please do. So looking at this painting, where are we going to put this guy? So, there's no way we can put this guy up here because I'm not hanging it in my hallway. You know what? I could hang it in the bathroom. No way this guy gets to go here next to the single cooked Mr. Incredible double toasted skull. You know what? I think our guy here, he spans all tiers. Very creepy. See, that was both a creepy laugh and also like a scholarly laugh. All right, guys, so I think we're getting to the end of our ranking cursed art. I appreciate y'all hanging around with me and getting through this second part. I know it took forever for me to get to this second part. It was very cool. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, getting through this. The world caught on fire. We literally ranked cursed art until I cursed the planet. I appreciate y'all checking on me the whole time throughout that time period. It was really cool of everyone I met here in the chat. They checked on me in the Discord. They checked on me on Twitch. Checked on me sometimes in the YouTube comments. I appreciate that. It meant a lot to me. We started here tier listing art. Los Angeles caught on fire, and then for the next 2 weeks, I had a new group of artists and friends that were checking on me throughout, and I appreciate y'all. I appreciate that we were able to build that kind of community here in such a short time. All right, enough gushing. We're supposed to be talking about cursed stuff. This is scary. Well, all right, y'all. I hope you sleep well. I hope you aren't too afraid. I hope when you're in the bathroom and you're looking at the shower, you're not worried someone's in that shower. No one's in there. When you're in your bedroom tonight, you're not afraid someone's in the closet. Is it dark? Is it dark? Are you afraid? Could it be that you are cursed by the cursed tears. Again, ranking art is a very bad idea. Do not rank art. But please join us for our next rank. If you're having a bad day, did your city burn down? Did you lose electricity in the middle of your stream? Did you have to restart a stream a few weeks later because of a natural disaster? Are you having regular conflicts with yourself, with your family, with your work? Where I'm here to tell you that you can paint a picture about it. You can draw about it. You can write a song about it. You can paint a picture of a baby doll that's haunted and is being eaten by a polar bear, and you can do all those things as a way to deal with conflicts that you have in your life. So what I'm trying to say is you take those things out on art, and you don't take them out on yourself. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see y'all next time.